Widdershins, and I'm here with Draxtor Despres. We're talking today to Danger Linden and Troy Linden. So welcome everyone. Danger Linden is Senior Director of Product at the lab, and he has product responsibility for the massively multiplayer online platform of Second Life, and also for Linden Lab's next generation virtual world platform. That, of course, we can now call Project Sansar, can't we?
Yes, we can. But an update to that, I am now 100% Second Life. So
right.
Sansar is being handled by my boss, actually.
Right. And your boss is?
My boss is Bjorn Linden.
Okay, so you're completely with us. And Troy Linden is a senior producer. Or has your title changed?
No, actually, I'm still a senior producer, enjoying what I do.
Good. And what is that, actually? What do you do?
Senior producer is it's a product owner, and we're responsible for, the well-being of Second Life. So it could be anything from new features to general maintenance to just anything to make it better.
I'd like to ask you both how you came to work for the lab, because I think you both had interesting career paths beforehand.
Sure, I can start. I've been in the video game business since 1988, so it's been a long time. Most recently, before Linden, I was at Electronic Arts working on the Sims team and at Pogo.com, and my former boss at EA had come to Linden to work on Second Life, and so he reached out to me, and I joined him here in 2012.
Fantastic. And what about you, Troy?
So I, too, came from the video game space. So I've been doing games since 1994, not quite as long as Danger, but yeah, I've worked with console companies, the big names, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and I was working on some Sims products as well as Danger at EA. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised when I was approached by a former Linden who was saying, "Hey, Troy, you need, come on over and check out what we're doing." And I've known about Second Life since 2004. I've kind of secretively hopped on my cousin's machine and logged in as himself and explored around. And I was really, really surprised that it was still alive and doing very well. So just went over there for a chat, and next thing I know, I'm doing my interview, and I actually ran into Danger there, so it was completely unplanned.
So did you come in at sort of around the same time?
I think, Danger, you were there maybe a couple months before me.
Yeah, I was March 2012, and Troy, I thought you were somewhere in June.
June-ish, yeah. Yep.
So that was kind of the beginning of the recent expansion, wasn't it?
Yeah, at that time we had, we started thinking about Sansar. There are some new projects being started, the only survivor of which is Blox World, and so the Second Life producer team kind of started almost from scratch at that time.
Right, and you. Yes, I can see you.
Oh, good. I can't see myself, but everyone can see me. That's good.
I think we can.
Hi, guys.
So I was going to say that it's quite interesting that having come in to work on new projects, you've actually moved to work on Second Life. Are you working on Second Life exclusively, Troy, or do you still have a foot in Sansar?
No, I'm actually exclusively Second Life.
And of course, sorry,
you suck.
Drax.
What I was curious to know is, and you guys, and this is always something that I'm fascinated by, juggling all these different products. Danger and Troy when it was decided to diversify. Can you give us a little picture of how that was from your workday? Was that more stressful than working on Second Life full time, or was there maybe a benefit to having all these different products where you could shift a little bit from focusing on one thing to the other and then kind of recharge your batteries, I guess? How was it compared to now where you're focused on one product exclusively?
I think everyone handles that differently, and it depends on your personality. I never worked on the new projects. That was my colleague, but I have been working on Sansar for since it began. And my personal preference is to focus more deeply on a single product. And when we say single product, of course, Second Life is huge. It's it's hard to call it a single product, but since I've been able to focus on Second Life, I've been able to dig deeper into into the data and trying to figure out how to move this needle here or that needle there, and it's so I prefer it that way. It's the right size of challenge because I like to have my hands in on the in the trenches, so to speak. So, but that's my personal preference.
And what is the breakdown right now in the lab? Do you know between people who do Sansar and people who do Second Life?
Well, I can't give you exact numbers, but one of the things that we did when we formed, for a while people were working on Second Life and Sansar, and going back and forth and stuff like that. And we when Linden took over the engineering leadership of Second Life, he put together a team that really wanted to work on Second Life and weren't looking to work on Sansar, and so certainly it's a smaller team than the Sansar team, but it's a very dedicated, very experienced. So So it's a great team to work with because the challenges then are having to do with the product and maintenance and stuff like that, rather than trying to figure out how to get a team to work together, because everyone works together very well.
Saffia, you can always step on me. I don't want to take over, but now I'm in the zone, and I just want to throw out this other question. What always fascinated me:
Go with it.
The onboarding process work in terms of getting new recruits and hires to get acquainted with Second Life, even if they're familiar with Second Life. And Troy just say, he was familiar with it, and you have people that you recruited from within the community. They're of course very familiar with it. But is there a process, a staff process where people design their avatars and they're sort of required to go in world and to figure stuff out, report back, how they feel about it, so that they're. I guess my question is there, do you make sure that there's a familiarity with the quote unquote product with new hires?
Yeah, we have a specific process that people go through. It's called internally. It's called boot camp, and it takes a number of
up and downstairs and stuff like weightlifting.
Well, they have to do that too, but in world they.
That's at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, actually, boot camp's at 5:15. Right, they actually go out into the real world, but but we have a specific program with a specific person, and she'll take them. Char Linden will take them in groups, or individually, and run them through the how to be in world and the various responsibilities. And there's also a whole bunch of documentation, which is pretty good. I actually think that the Lindens onboarding system for employees is among the best I've seen, and I've been at big companies and small companies, and it's pretty good. It's pretty thorough.
Do the Sansar people get the same training in Second Life too, as sort of just to see how it is?
No, not really. I mean, if there all of our Sansar producers have Second Life experience, but the new engineers could be working on something so specific, and so narrow, having to do with getting the last couple of cycles out of a graphics card, for example, or getting the Oculus Rift to work. That that's less common.
It's fascinating to me, though, Danger, because I remember when you invited me up to present one of the Drax files. I don't recall exactly the conversation we had via email, but I did ask you, what do you want me to talk about? Thank you, I'm coming up, but what do you want me to talk about? And you said something along the lines of talk about what people do in Second Life. And I, of course, like, oh, wow, Danger is inviting an outsider to tell his own people how Second Life works. Should I be honored or depressed?
Well, I think...
I'm surprised you're not there still, Drax saying. And then people can also go flying in aeroplanes from airports.
I told him that. I mean, an hour in, they were like, what? You can fly?
No, Drax does have a lot to say, but I think that what we've been doing with kind of the company as a whole, so not just the people who are working in Second Life, but the people in finance or legal or whatever.
Yeah.
We get a lot of information, we got a lot of understanding on how people are using Second Life, but it's such a wide range of things can happen in there. We're always looking for ways for people to have a new appreciation of what things are being done in Second Life and how, and that's why your videos are great. The what Second Life means to me. Series of videos that we're doing for SL12B is great, and it's no matter how much or think about Second Life or a virtual world, seeing these really interesting use cases is really helpful for people, and really it's it also helps the people who are working on Sansar, which is it's the next generation. What does it mean to be in a virtual world? And and it's really important to kind of think about those use cases and to understand not just the job we got to do, but be inspired by the sorts of the thing we've built with Second Life, and we would like to build with even more mass market appeal with Sansar.
Right. It's almost like, yeah, you're right. My videos are a kind of boot camp without running up and down stairs. Sorry, that was lame. But you're right. I mean, people who work with Bloxworld, and I certainly, when I was up there, was fascinating to see that some people who are working, they're deeply inside the code and working on specific problems. Really, I mean, I was impressed how the quote-unquote worker bees really are so in there and going through this code and trying to fix things, and they don't have the opportunity to see what their improvements often do right away in terms of how they're being used by the residents. There was a question in the chat, how many women do work Linden Lab? I saw quite a few. Do you have any numbers?
Or even percentages, what sort of percentage are
I'm
women?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the numbers break down. We're pretty diverse, and we don't limit ourselves to just two genders here. We have plenty of transgender folks as well. So we're in San Francisco. We're working on Second Life. The combination of that means that we have people from all walks of life, and certainly more than two genders here. Now, we don't have all the 56 genders that Facebook identifies, but we've got more than a handful.
It's most certainly the most diverse workplace that I've ever seen, for sure. So, Saffia.
Yes,
go ahead.
I was going to say, which project? I mean, you've worked on specific projects like experience tools, haven't you?
Well, I'm going to let Troy answer that. Because Troy is specifically on experience tools.
Right.
So, can you repeat the question, Saffia? I'm sorry.
Well, I was was just saying you've worked on specific projects. I was going to ask which ones you've enjoyed working on most, but I'd love to talk a bit about experience tools and how that's coming along.
Sure. So yeah, Experience Tools is a great project. It's something that it's been a long time coming. We're very close actually to shipping.
One thing about the experience tools that you certainly started working with the community quite early, and that was true, I think, of the materials project as well. You involved, well, I think that was Oz quite a bit involved creators. Do you see that as being a fruitful way of working, that getting residents in early and involved?
That's a great question about what have been some of the favorites. I think that now this may be a cop out answer. When maybe I'm saying, oh, I love all my children the same, but what I really enjoy about working on Second Life is how the whole system works together, and trying to figure out how to make it work as not as a set of separate little products. And before I got here, and when I first got here, the projects were kind of organized that way. So there was a lot of siloing, and since then we've tried to treat it as a single product offering where, everything from the welcome experience to what you do in World to how you get through the website and how do you register and all of that. So that whole system, and looking at what affects what. We have a lot of data that we look at, and trying to understand what data is important, what data is not important, and trying to figure out what we do. How does it have an impact on the virtual world that we're working on? That's so for me. As a system, that's the most interesting part.
So for me, I think there's some projects that I've worked on that I'm really interested in, such as the SLShare project, and I realized a lot of people, it's not for everyone. Social media can be a curse to some, but it really does speak to bringing Second Life and making it more modern. Bringing it into the present, because social media is everywhere. So I've actually gotten to hear a lot of great stories and some praises and some thanks from the residents who use SLShare to share, photos of what's going on, what they do in Second Life to their Facebook feed. So it's bringing sort of the two together. I've done the same. I've done a bunch of pictures and check-ins and stuff like that in Second Life, and just shared it with my friends on Facebook, and I've actually gotten quite a few people that have actually said, "Hey, I want to check out that, check out that music event you're at. That looks pretty cool." So that was enjoyable to me.
This is Drax. I was off, but I'm back, and I don't know what you guys have discussed, but I guess the share feature. I just want to join in that I thought the Facebook feature to share straight to Facebook is actually really cool. And I had the exact same experience that Troy just described, where people who have been, critics or very dismissive in my circle of friends about SL, they look at some stuff and go like, whoa, what is this? Where is this from? I said, guys, this is what I've been talking about for the last 8 years. Oh, it's that. So it's a great way to just share it with people who are sort of uninitiated.
But several people in the audience, and I've found this experience too. The problem with it is that in order to share, you have to use your real life identity. Because if you're on Facebook as a Second Life avatar, you will get kicked off. And that can also kick off your main account as well, your real life account. So you have to be quite careful with Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
You don't have to with Twitter or Google+.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A major issue, and I think personally, I'm personally on the record. I'm really not a friend of Facebook, and I'm actually quite concerned. And we talk about it with Joe all the time about their foray into virtual reality and virtual worlds. I hope to get a few questions in that regard in later, but you're absolutely right. That's totally an issue. I just mean for people who are comfortable, and it's totally okay to be not comfortable, to linking these accounts. For the people who are, it's pretty good, and they can use Twitter too.
Yeah, I was going to say SL Share is not exclusively Facebook. So, I've got a Twitter account. I've got a Flickr account. So, which, by the way, there are some amazing screenshots and photos that people upload to Flickr. And so, we just found a way to make it a little bit easier and more accessible to most people.
That's great.
Make it accessible to the journalists who use the 2007 snapshot.
Yes, point at those nice Flickr pictures. Yes,
I think I want to add with Facebook. Yes, Facebook. Facebook has a policy where they want real life identities. So what that means is that if you want to post stuff on Facebook, it needs to be it needs to be with a persona that you don't mind having associated with your real life name. So I know a lot of people use different alts for different purposes, and so the one you use for Facebook needs to be associated with your real life identity. The other social networks don't have that requirement, so that can limit its usefulness.
I find that people want to follow me as Saffia Widdershins. I have, friends and family who follow me under my real name, and some of my Second Life friends follow me on Facebook as well, using my real name. But most people who meet me in Second Life therefore want to look for Saffia Widdershins. What I actually did in the end was set up a Facebook page, partly because I was being harassed by a fairly irritating troll. And I thought, well, they could blow my identity very easily and then I'd be off Facebook altogether. So
are there trolls that are not irritating?
Friendly, cuddly little ones, yes. No, there aren't, actually. So it turns out you're into a page.
Yeah, I was going to say that was another alternative that we found during, when we started to learn about people, getting their accounts shut down, their SL avatar account shut down. And then they recommended creating a page, and it's the same thing. You tell your friends, check out my page, and then from there they can check out the feeds that get posted. So, but again, that's all learned from the residents. So going back to your other question about learning more about residents and what they need and how they use the feature. As a perfect example, we initially intended it to share. We found a roadblock, and they found alternate ways to use it, and it works just fine. So,
Color Knight Blue Star in the chat is reading my thoughts. She wants to go back to discussing experience tools. Facebook's old news. I do have a question. This has been on my mind for a long time, because you guys at Linden Lab, you're really churning out these features that are awesome. And I just wanted to know, and maybe you discussed it while it was crashed, but I want to know if you guys are sometimes a bit frustrated that the people who have the time and who are skillful enough to implement them right away are sort of far and few between. I mean, I'm thinking of my good friend Loki Elliott, who is just awesome, and the minute you guys come up with a feature, he somehow finds the inspiration to implement it into a new experience. Matt P, the same thing. There's a handful of others. So how?
I lost you there, Drax.
But I think I'm gonna anticipate his question, which has to do with are we frustrated that perhaps there are great creators who can take advantage of some of these awesome tools, maybe few and far between, and the answer is that there are in a typical in a typical user-generated community, you're going to have a smaller percentage of really good creators are going to create the content that are consumed by the majority of the users, and that goes across all sorts of different user-generated content, and so our ratio in Second Life works just fine. But the other thing to keep in mind is that for a lot of creators, it is the act of creation itself, not whether or not it gets sold or gets publicized. Maybe it's just for their friends and family, or maybe it's just for them, and that is part of the joy of working in something where you create something. And we really have to recognize that we're not just catering to professional creators. We're creating for people who want to create something, and that is their fun from beginning to end.
So sometimes the things that you think are going to be so cool are just going to fall flat.
Okay, back. You guys hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yep.
So we were just answering your question, Drax, about creating things. Just having a few people.
Can you summarize it real quick? I'm capturing on my end too. If you don't mind, would it be better to have an in-house team to implement features quickly, or is it enough that the community does it, or could the community do more?
Well, we try to seed, we try to, with any of the features we do, we try to seed it with some interesting examples and maybe good examples of best practices. But it's, we are, but we're, we'd like to say we are not in the content creation business. Yeah. Certainly, but we're not at zero. Because we have to eat our own dog food, as they say, and we have to provide some seeded examples so that people can kind of build from those. But it doesn't take that many creators to take advantage of some stuff to make some really cool things out there. And I think Experience Tools is a great example. You don't need thousands and thousands of great experiences. You just need a handful that people will love.
And people like Mad P, of course, are all over it, because it's going to be great for gaming and hunting, that kind of hunt as well.
Yeah, I mean, anything that makes Second Life more immersive, I think is a huge win. And as we're finding with the folks who are currently using the keys for the beta programming, we've seen a lot of variety. Anything from scavenger hunts to full-on combat sims, and it's cool. We're looking really forward to seeing what else people can come up with.
I'm picking up on a question that came up earlier, which was when we were talking about social media. Someone's asking what you think about My Second Life, and is it going to be maintained? So, Liam asked this.
Oh, that's let's see. That's a tough one, because I don't think anybody's going to like the answer, and the short answer is no. It's kind of a mess, and it's very difficult to maintain. Its usage rate is on the low side compared to other features. So may not be a popular answer, but no improvements are planned on that. With Sansar, we need to support the widest range of platforms that we can. And although we do have an Oculus Rift viewer for Second Life, Second Life is 12-year-old legacy code. And we need to support all the stuff that's been built and is continuing going on. So it's never going to, although you could use Oculus Rift with Second Life, it's never going to have the frame rate to be competitive with Sansar or the other new stuff. We do think we have a big advantage in building virtual worlds. We've built the longest lasting, most successful one.
So I was asking about the positioning. In those upcoming, I call them Metaverse wars between whatever Facebook is building, High Fidelity, maybe somebody we don't know yet, companies who are in the market for to create a virtual world that is hopefully centered around user created content, or maybe not. but I was asking Danger, how do you see Linden Lab positioned? And yeah.
I think Linden Lab is positioned very well on Project Sansar and to compete. I guess the short answer would be this virtual world thing with user generated content. It's a lot harder than it looks, and it's there's the understanding what the challenges are when non-professional creators are creating stuff that need to perform in a world. So that's a big emphasis on Sansar. And the other thing not to be ignored is the years of experience on what it means to manage a virtual currency that can be converted into real life dollars. Right. We have done a ton of work on compliance and fraud protection and all of that stuff. It's a really high bar to be able to be trusted to handle money like this, and it's something that starting from scratch is just a huge hill to climb. So if you're going to be able to exchange for real money in your virtual world, that's also a big challenge.
And I have to say, for the record, it feels really warm and fuzzy to me that Linden Lab is really focusing on creating a user-centric virtual world, because I don't see, and I don't know, but I'm guessing that Facebook is not going to, because for the reason maybe that is just very hard to administer, and maybe the return can be higher. Facebook creates a virtual world that is just about, I don't know, sharing pictures and buying stuff. So I see a bright future there.
Yeah, I think all of this activity in virtual worlds is exciting to me as a consumer, or I'm talking about the head-mounted displays now and all of those competing products. Every time we hear about someone making a big deal about it, another product that's going to be developed, it just it says to us that we are in the right space. We're in a hot space, and we'd rather compete in a space that people really care about than do a great job in something that that has no audience.
Well, and Linden Lab has empowered the individual person. Like I said in my what SL means to me, the person who has never been told, you can do this. Incidentally, last week, Parma Lucky of Oculus gave an interview to Recode, and he said, well, at this point, I don't know if he said at this point, but he said only game design studios have the skill to create compelling content. And that really was, I wanted to call him. I don't have his phone number, but I wanted to call him and say, that sounds awfully arrogant, right?
Totally. Oh, yeah. I know people who are in here designing who actually kind of do it as their hobby when they work for movie studios in the real world, doing 3D content for movies and advertisements. And then they come in here and have fun doing 3D content. And, are you really going to say that they're not as good as a game studio? No. Question that came up earlier, the one I was trying to find, I finally found it. Experience tools. Is that going to be a region thing, or would people be able to put experience tools on just their parcel?
So experience tools, there are two parts to it. The first phase we're going to be releasing are going to be the region local keys. We did talk about grid-wide or grid scope keys that's going to allow it to work anywhere. But there is a way for you to, if you wanted to collaborate with other region owners, you could just simply allow that particular landscape key experience to run on your region. So it's just a matter of, reaching out to your neighbor and saying, hey, I've got this cool experience, and, I think you'll like it. I think, it'll work well in your region. And, shake hands and turn on the switch. So yeah, it's out of the box. It's designed for your region, but, there is a way for you to collaborate with your fellow region owners.
What happens if you live on mainland?
There are going to be, I don't want to give away too much, but there are plans to allow experiences to run there as well.
Aha! Right. Okay. Will it be mesh bodies in the new game in Sansar?
Yes, it will be all. Yes, there will be it will be mesh, and more mesh.
Can I say one word? Voxels.
Yes, I don't know if we've actually announced that, but the terrain system will be voxel based, and I believe you can make objects out of voxels. And I hope that I haven't overstepped information on Sansar, but that's what I heard.
Okay, that's very exciting news, I think, for a lot of people.
The other thing I can answer when asking about tier, one of the things that we're trying to accomplish with Sansar is lower the barrier to entry as far as being able to get in world, have land that you can work with and things like that. So there will be a system which will allow, which should allow non-registered guests to do limited things. It should allow you to be able to create some things in world without having to quote unquote own land. You get a certain amount for free. So a lot of that's the idea, is to lower that barrier to entry so that people don't have to have this big jump to get into. To be able to rest up something in world.
A bit like the way Cloud Party used to do it, that you took the basic tutorials and then you got land.
Yes. Yeah, like that. The other question I saw, where do I see SL in 5 or 10 years? I anticipate a long life or second life. Certainly there's a lot of speculation that, as soon as we open Sansar's doors, won't everyone move from Second Life to Sansar, and Second Life will be a ghost town? And the answer is no, because in order for Sansar to be as interesting as Second Life, you need a critical mass of people and social groups and stuff that you can get and experiences that you can do. And, there are a lot of people who are very comfortable in Second Life. They're there for a variety of reasons, and they will continue to be there regardless of how good Sansar is. So I see a long life for Second Life just because of its inertia and the investment in time and, social network that they've built in Second Life. And a lot of people will use both as well.
A question that came up, questions have been flying past fast and furious, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to tackle them all. Couple of things. One about a couple of things, and both about Sansar. How will animations work there? That's going to be quite important, not just, for lots of creators. Not just animations as in animation overrides, but furniture makers, home builders, all this sort of thing, dance, all these things. Are animations going to work in a similar way?
The animation system in Sansar will be a full professional. And by say I mean professional in performance. Doesn't mean you have to be a professional to create them, but it'll be a full animation system that will work with objects and avatars. It'll be based on Havoc animation, underlying Havoc animation system with additional Linden stuff on top of it. So it's going to be that part's going to be very nice.
And the other question was, will people be able to own land in Second Life, like in Sansar, like we have people who own estates and create estates and then rent out to people? Will that also be possible in Sansar?
It will. Yes, that will also be possible. Although with the lower barrier to entry, it will look a lot different. The dynamics will be a lot different. But yes, you can you can be someone who's created this big region. Maybe it's a shopping mall, and you want to rent out the shops to various folks. Your value add is the traffic and the infrastructure, and people can use the shops to sell their stuff. So yes.
Right. I'm getting a repeated question being asked. Beta keys for SL current users.
Well, we're it's a gradual release plan. The first people will be let in will be a handful of creators who have specific skills, and those skills have to do with a Maya-like project. That is not going to be the requirement for Sansar as a whole. It's just that pipeline, being able to get high-quality stuff from Maya into World, is the first thing that we need to get right. So those will be the first people that'll be left in, and that'll be invitation only.
I crashed again, but I think I understand now. That was a criticism, but I think I understand. I mean, you guys got to really make sure that this pipeline is very, very solid to get it from Maya in World, right? And then that's the main reason why you stick with Maya until that is satisfactory. Come to a conclusion. That pipeline.
Correct.
Well, I offer myself as someone who can drive very badly and is guaranteed to crash every possible vehicle into buildings. So, I think I could be a very
is that driver?
Tester.
A test driver. You guys may have discussed this while I was off, but I'm really curious about Project Sansar. Because people are very anxious about building in world. To what extent will it be possible to tweak, or will tweak stuff that's coming in? Will there be a component will there be functionality like building with Prim is today, where you can put stuff together in world collaboratively? What can you tell us about those plans?
Yeah, it is the goal to be able to build in world and to be able to do collaborative building. Yes, that's all part of the plan.
I've seen some wonderful stuff, videos of how you can create landscapes. I don't think in Sansar, but how some of the tools that can be used for creating landscapes are just amazing. And I hope they'll be incorporated into Sansar too.
Yep, we do have the terrain building stuff will be a lot of fun.
That would be good. We've said that there is going to be private land north. Will there be and presumably there'll be mainland too if you're giving everyone 2 acres and a cow.
2 acres and a cow.
Or was it 2 acres and a mule?
I think. Yeah, that's
2 acres and a mule. I think it was 2 acres and a cow, possibly in Britain, but it was 2 acres and a mule in America.
I think it's 1 acre and 2 cows because you want to be able to reproduce and breed them.
That depends on your political system.
40 acres and a mule refers to reparations. I can do a lecture on that as I'm quite fluent with American history but people will get bored quickly.
So, you presumably the land that people will get, there will be mainland.
Not sure what that's going to, mainland means a particular thing in Second Life, and it's administered in a particular way. Don't have the answer for that on Sansar.
Okay. That's fine. Right. Well,
I'm sorry, I lost a little bit the train here because I crashed so many times. So I don't know where you guys are with coming close to wrapping or taking more audience questions.
I'm just checking a couple. Yes, Kenny Lex sent me a question in IM, and I think we've answered that. And Interesting one here from Wacky DJ. Has there been any discussion for hypergridding, the ability to teleport from Second Life to Sansar without the need for relogging? As this is now being used in OpenSim.
I haven't heard any plans like that. It will be true that the authorization systems will be you'll be able to link your accounts together if you'd like, but that doesn't mean you'd necessarily go from one client to the other without having to relog.
Right. Oh, so there are going to be second names for Sansar lives, are there? We're going to be able to have two names again in Sansar.
That is. Let's see. I'm going to delay answering that one. You will have because you will have your main login authentication will be your email address, and then that will be. That's only for you to know, and us, of course. And then you will be able to have persona names for different accounts, or for different Sansar accounts underneath that. The format of those, persona names has not been settled on.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to ask Ebby about that tomorrow. Plead with Ebby tomorrow about that. So you are going to be able to have multiple accounts.
Yeah, multiple accounts under one main account, and that will it'll be there'll be a lot of features where it will be beneficial for you to do that, because you'll be able to manage things easier, be able to manage your wallets and your inventory and things like that.
That'd be great. Yes. Another couple of questions. Will Sansar Mesh be completely static like SL, or will we have scripting, coding hooks to modify stuff like with Prim parameters?
All of the objects in Sansar will be scriptable, with behaviors and with driving animation and stuff like that. As far as modifying the mesh on the fly, not sure.
I have a question that I always ask, but I'll ask it again. What makes me... I talked to Philip Rosedale last week. We'll have an upcoming show. And he's very confident that high fidelity will be successful, that the concept of open virtual worlds where you can create is going to be very successful. And I like to believe the same thing. But at the same time, what we have learned from the past is that maybe not everybody is comfortable with or maybe overwhelmed.
I think he's gone again.
Maybe Drax was going to ask, will newbies get or non-professionals get overwhelmed with the various creation tools? Well, that is, that's a huge challenge for any world where you want to have user-generated creations, and so we are, that is the. That mid-range and the lower the barrier to entry for creating stuff, that is among the most challenging things to get right. All I can say is that it's a big goal of the project to be able to make it easier to make things in Sansar than it is in Second Life.
That's great. Someone's asked, Pixel Sideways has got a very interesting question. If you have separate avatars accounts in Sansar, but they're all under one login, will you be able to share inventories under one main login account?
That is the idea. Yes, you should be able.
Wonderful.
You should be able to move things back and forth, and your currency within the same account easily.
That will make life a lot easier, I think, for a lot of people. And certainly running a business. I mean, one of the problems is you have to keep logging in as different people to transfer different things between you. So this would be absolutely great. I think if anyone has any last questions. Yes, Frauke is saying, will you be able to redeliver if you're a merchant in Second Life in Sansar. And
You mean as
Dudley is asking if we have text chat in Sansar.
Yes, we will have text chat in Sansar, and we will have and also voice chat. And who's the coolest Linden of us two? It's pretty close.
Is Sansar going to run on Linux?
You mean will there be a viewer that runs in Linux? It's not looking positive, as you may realize. The Linux, the official Linden Lab Linux version for our viewer for Second Life is now currently officially community supported. There's just not enough. There are just not enough users using it for us to be able to maintain it. So it really depends on the user base. And if Second Life is any prediction, then the answer on for Sansar will probably be no.
Well, will there be third-party viewers? Will there be the possibility of creating third-party viewers who could do that kind of support?
We will not have open source on Sansar. But there will be the ability to create third-party add-ins or libraries that can modify the viewer.
Mm-hmm. Is Sansar going to be as anonymous as Second Life?
What you'll be able to do, you will be able to have as much anonymity as you want in Sansar. The difference is that the more information that you provide to us, whether it be your real name or a verified email or payment information on file, the more ability you will have in the more capabilities you have in world. So this is one way where we try to combat griefers, where if we want to lower the barrier to entry and let people create stuff and have fun in world, how do you do that without opening a vector for every griefer in the world to get in without having to register or anything and bother people? So what will happen is, as you provide more information and you look less and less like a griefer, you will be able to do more in world and participate more.
That's brilliant. I have got a question about people. About Second Life, and someone talking about having a problem with textures causing snapback problems. I can send you the details later. I don't know if any of the builders here in the audience have been having problems with textures recently. We'll see. I'll drop you details, both of you, in Skype so you can see. Maybe you can let me know, and I can let the creator who contacted me know.
I would also want to add, I mean, anytime, I'm sure a lot of you already do this, anytime you encounter any issues with Second Life, I mean, the first order of business is to file a JIRA. We do have triages weekly, in some cases, more than once a week. So we do get to them. We do our best to try to prioritize them. So if it is really an issue, we'd love to hear about it. But a JIRA is probably the first step to go with.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to make one last try at getting Drax back. I think sadly he's gone for the end of the session. Okay, well, I'd like to say thank you so much to Troy and Danger for coming here today. Last few questions. Frank is throwing them out at the moment. Will it be possible to tell if you have real life info on file?
The relationship between the capabilities and how much information you have to provide, that's still being worked out. I mean, there'll be a big matrix, and we're playing with that. But that's the concept.
Right, but that would be under the hood, wouldn't it? I mean, that you wouldn't actually know. you wouldn't actually, the fact that you've supplied the information to the lab would be kind of confidential.
Yeah, well, the actual information that you provide. But for example, if everyone knows that you need to have a verified email in order to actually, for example, in order to publish a world, and then you publish a world, then you would know about the creator. Oh, that person did provide a verified email. No one knows what that email is, but that's the idea. Is we're trying to establish these levels of trust so we can get more people in, but still have some protection from ne'er-do-wells.
Right. So when will the first offer invites be sent out? Several people have asked this timeline. Have we got a kind of foreseeable timeline yet?
Well,
loads of people asking this.
Yeah. First person in will be the by invitation only pre-alpha creators, and they're being talked to now. But we're talking about a handful of people.
Okay. Joe has brought her suitcase. Yeah. Okay. Troy and Danger, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been brilliant.